Chair. Mr. Mahlanu Nayo will lead us, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Nayo.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to everyone. Chair 5 and item 6 together because they are paired. So item 5 is related to an application by revoke a license to operate a distribution facility in the Umbongintwini. This license, SLCNG, is an entity that is responsible for distribution pipeline to supply it with gas to its compression site so that it could compress it and then get into CNG cylinders and therefore send it out to customers. So since it's no longer that facility, it has applied to revoke. This was duly advertised for public comments, and there were no interested or affected parties that made any input. And also, Chair, there were no matters of concern that were raised even during the public hearing that was not held. The members did not have any matters. Item 6 then relates to now SLG, the license to operate the same distribution facility, Chair. So this facility, it is made up and it has got an internal diameter of 152 and the volume facility, and therefore SLCLG is a willing and able party that is one to take over this facility, Chair. So when we ask SL cost, Chair, so there's nothing that will change. The new entity will take over the operation of the facility. So therefore, we're requesting the REC to first approve the revocation of the facility by SLCNG, the REC to approve the operation of the distribution facility. To be confusing. The first one is SLCNG, the compression facility, and the entity taking over is SLG that is going to operate that facility. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think with the second one, I think it's indicated PTY Limited, right? Or SLPTY Limited. And thank you, Mr. Nayo. On that, the two submissions that are linked, but we'll make sure that in terms of the resolutions of item 5 and as well as item 6. But what Mr. Mahlanu has done, he has tried to just deal with both. The first being a revocation of a license for gas distribution. And the next one is the one where the new service provider it's now applying to take over that particular gas distribution license, which is SLG. Members, can I get any questions, issues of clarity?
Chair, I don't have any question except to just make sure for the place that I know. That's all I could say. But I support the recommendation as put forth for both item 5 and item 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. Mr. Gop, 1 or 2. It's just a concern that the submission took long expected because we 2022 and the adverts, or rather the stage that submitted sufficient or adequate information was around July. We are only considering the submission now a few months before we actually complete a year since we have received this. That is just one point. And again, I think on paragraph 4.6 of item 5, 4.4 of item 6, I think we need to change the date there. We have indicated the date as the 28th of September 2022. If you can just double check that, Mr. 7.13 on page 8, where it was said that there was a need to have that discussion during the pre-hearing between PGR, LAS, I can't remember the third division, and I just wanted to find out whether that particular submission that is before the committee today, and I struggle to really locate that particular discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think the issue the timelines will address it. There was of the name, so and there was issue of the delay of the confidentiality as well that came in on the 16th of August. It's a bit later, but there were issues with this application from the beginning. So we apologize for that. We'll do better next. 1.7.1.3 on the item 6. That matter, I think it was raised during the post hearing by the members, license, and therefore it is a process that has to follow. However, Chair, outside of the meeting, we'll engage RSU. We had not engaged. We had thought that Mr. Setti's description at the time was sufficient, but we'll engage RSU as well as the LAS and see if the members' concern can be addressed in any way. If this kind of process whereby an entity takes over can be shortened and possibly be delegated to the chair, and then we'll give a feedback in the next RC.
Okay. I think if you can was made. And I think, yeah, the others are just to double check and correct the date. Am I correct to say it's 2020? So may I then request that we move on to recommendations with regard to recommendation, paragraph 40. CNG to revoke its license to operate a gas distribution facility in the reasons for decision in relation to this particular application area. On that note, members, can I get an indication that you support? I think Mr. Mkhize has indicated that he does support the recommendation to revoke and the decision in reasons for decision. Noted as well, Mr. In terms of item 6, the recommendations are on P9. Paragraph 15, and in terms of those recommendations, the REC is requested to approve the application PTY Limited for a license to operate Umbogi Twini area of a eThekwini metropolitan municipality, and the attached license condition, and as well as a decision and reasons for decision. Mr. Mkhize has indicated that he supports the recommendation. Mr. Gumeda, from your side?
I support it, Chair.
Thank you. I also do support. Mr. Nair, your submissions have been approved by the committee. We then move in relation to industry. Mr. Mavuso, if you can guide us, who is going to lead us with this particular submission?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, this submission will be presented by Tilly. But before we do that, I just want to mention that the decisions that we are seeking the REC to take is the main one is to approve the extension for ESCOM to submit both full year RFL 30 September 2022 by April the 30th of this year. And then this to say they had like late appointments of external auditors, which is the a new requirement by external auditors. Just to mention, Chair, that this kind day every day, and that later this portfolio as mandated. I'll give it to Tilly to just give the details.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Chairperson. So the EMS touched part of the recommendation. So the recommendation that we are seeking, there are three, as the EMS indicated. The first one is that the committee notes are going to audit them. But the other reason is the finalization of the audit of annual financial statement. They only finalized not to approve the extension of submitting the 6 months. The main reason there is that we need the 6 months report. Tariff is divided into seasons. There is a summer tariff and there is a winter tariff. So the 6 months will help us to have that trending analysis and then allow time for the entity to finalize its financial end. We allow the licensee to submit the RFRs by the 6 months and the full year. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Ndakeni, members, any questions, issues of law? Mr. Pineti?
Thanks to the EM and Mr. Kane for the presentation. Chairperson, just two things from my side. I just want to get clarity on what the actual impact in terms of our operations, whether this is going to affect any of our analysis in as far as the various applications that, and two, whether the 30th of April is still going to be feasible. they're still going to meet to also to monitor compliance and enforce compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Gumede?
I have no questions.
Gumede, I think from my side, it's just an issue of clarity, which is to, because I see in terms of what you have presented is that despite the RFRs, we still need them. And again, they are still going to submit the annual one. And in my mind, I would think that the meaning that we are really putting, regulatory burden on them by requesting one and the same information when we can actually and have ways of getting what we need from them. So that is oversight. Thank you.
Should I?
Yes,
Okay,
you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. A question on the impact on the operation and the application be done within the financial year, but now it will go beyond the financial year. ESCOM, neither ESCOM or NERSA can have control over the work that the auditors are doing, and we need value on the work that the auditors are doing. So we need to give them that time that they need. And then in terms of the application, these RFRs will help us to analyze the 2021-22 RCA, which has not been submitted. We envisage to have this application in the second quarter. So by the time we get the application, we believe we will have got them or to analyze those applications. And then in terms of the 30th of April, if it is feasible or if it is possible, from our analysis, it should be possible on the financial year end of the licensee. So it's enough time for them to be able to give us these reports. And then in terms of science, I should believe, maybe my colleagues will assist me with this one, but I should believe with what we are doing, we are trying to get that is beyond the licensee's control. And then the last question from the CEO on the whether we can extract the 6 months from the full year, be aggregated. And it will not be possible. We can't have a straightforward whereby maybe we divide the true picture of what has happened, as we had indicated. And another reason is that the licensee will need to be the one that submits that do over the years. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you for the responses. I see
the matter that has been raised by Untate Mkhize about the compliance. I think it's a bit of a controversial one, and I've already spoken about this in the past meetings when ESCOM requested for extension. And our view and the team is that I think we are putting too much pressure on ESCOM on things that they cannot manage. And we've requested the regulatory, the RA team to then prepare the RFS. And then after that, the of ESCOM. Thank you, Chair.
thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize.
Chairperson, I'm covered in terms of the response that I don't agree with the for the functioning of its external auditors. One could understand the situation, but they still account for understood. I don't want to further delay on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is it shorter. And I think internally, then there would have to be that discussion. That thank you to the recommendations, which are on P6, and it's paragraph 14, and it is recommended that the REC notes the reason given by the organization of the audits, and 2, to note to not approve the request for example for submission of the RFRs for the 6 months ending 30th and to approve the extension for Eskom to submit both the full year RFRs and the 6 months RFRs ending 30th September 2022 by the 30th. Members, can I get an indication that you support? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. I also support. And Mr. Mavuso, your submission has been approved. We'll then move on to the regulation of the petroleum pipeline, the submission. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Item 8 is the investigation. First is to note the annual report on these investigations, and secondly, that do not require licensing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to everyone. And in this financial year, Chair, the biggest facility, Chair, that was excluded from licensing has a design capacity of 450 on paragraph 16 of the report. The matters and the matters that are listed indicated there were submitted by the owners and not necessarily by third parties. And these are discussed from paragraph. These facilities range from 78 cubic meters to the facilities with a design capacity of 80 cubic meters or above have submitted the necessary environmental operations as required. And those below are not required to submit such. And all the facilities there, Chair, are below the current bulk of 1,500 cubic meters. And therefore, in terms of our determination, recommended weeks. The last aspect, Chair, is the site inspections that were conducted, and these are discussed from paragraph 4 for the list of all activities that have been excluded from licensing to date. With that, Chair, there are 2 recommended. The first one is for the REC to note the report, and the second recommendation is for the paragraph 22A be excluded from licensing in terms of the Act. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Lukele and as well as Ms. Mtwa. I'm not sure, maybe it's me. Now that we are here, I could get a sense that people's voices are very low. I've been indicating to Mr. his voice, and I'm just hoping that those that have joined us virtually can make colleagues. If you can't hear them, please just give an indication that you can. Members, the submission has been presented. I'll note your hands so that you can give your input.
I have no comment, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And I think from my issue, you may have answered it, but I sort of missed NESA and those that come through as NESA in terms of questions or queries from any interested party. But as I read the submission in the report, or rather in Annex A, I don't separation to say these are the actual ones that were done by NESA, and these are the ones that were informed from interested parties. I don't know whether I was reading it from outsiders, if I may use. Yes, you will respond.
Thank you, Chair. No, I think in paragraph 16, that's where we try to cover 16 years. Hence, I was indicating, trying to correct it.
Okay, no, noted. Thank you. Members, may I then cover the recommendations which are on page 5, paragraph 22. In terms of the recommendations, we are to note the annual report on the investigation done and require licensing in terms of the Act. One is the African Fuel Storage Facility of 79 cubic meters in Bronkhorstspruit, Gauteng Province. And the second one is from ICE, it's is existing storage facility of 78 cubic meters in Midrand Province. And the third is Lindimax Pty Ltd is existing storage facilities in Limpopo. And the fifth one, which is the last one, it's Tengan and Mining Pty Limited's proposed storage facility of 78 cubic meters in Kwaggafontein and Mpumalanga Province. Then that you do so and move on to item 9. It's yours again, Ms. Mto. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Item 9 is the request from the Oryx Energy implementation plan submitted in compliance with the requirements of the RRMs. Mr. Sintumole will assist in.
Thank you. To you, Mr. Mtumaz.
Okay. Thank you. The matter of the date there, date was not an error. It was supposed to go on the 3rd of April, but I was advised that since it's early, it can also be dealt with in this forum.
Okay.
The purpose of this submission, REC, to approve the Oryx Energies implementation plan submitted in compliance with the Oryx Energy submitted its under the futures, which are silent futures, which are analyzed. I've noted the issue of the budget. Budget is not detailed. They only indicated the 75,000, which is going to be used internally, but they didn't indicate the used for consultant. But they've since on a separate schedule forwarded the budget on the issue of risk management. We are still awaiting a risk register from Oryx, which should give us an assurance to ensure that the project will go as planned. In terms of ensures that the tariffs are set or approved for regulated activity only. The information in RRMs is also interlinked to the work done, submitted in compliance with the regulatory reporting manuals.
Of clarity or points of enhancements, if you do, please by show of hands, let me read. Kiza, next to me.
Now I'm covered from my side. I support the recommendation, having also and the issues that pertain to RRMs in general.
Very much. I also do not have any issues with the submissions, and we have noted the correction, which is to request the REC Pty Ltd's implementation plan that has been submitted in compliance with the regulatory reporting. Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Also, and on that note, members, I think we have come to the end of our. Thank the members of management for the presentation, and as well as the RC members for considering all the submission put before them, and also to thank our stakeholders that have joined us remotely for this meeting. And our open session has come to an end. May I request Mr. Mateja to assist us in terms of stopping the live streaming so that we can